Whether it's at the sportsbook or anywhere else in the casino, he's always helping us find an edge. It's time for Fezzik Fridays.
Fezzik, of course. Steve Fezzik. You can follow him on Twitter at Fezzik Sports, but that ain't a pleasant experience because he is ornery. Not so ornery here when he's in person with us in the Circus studio. How you doing, man?
If you had to pay $9 for a crappy bagel that's like the worst in the world, would you be ornery?
You still go to Starbucks every day and complain about paying money?
Well, I get it for free.
Oh, you get it for free. That's
and
right.
It's the convenience. I go to Caesars. I love Caesars. I go to the gym, and the Starbucks is right there. The VIP valet is right there. I'm heading out, and I'm getting my coffee for free because I get my 4 free drinks and my $10 food comp. And I can't believe people are waiting in line 20 minutes for the worst meal ever.
You know who was taking you to task on your Starbucks opinion and did so on the Megapod? Because it came up, because Todd always brings you up for some reason. Stormy Bonatoni, she disagrees with your Starbucks food take. She says there are good food items there. You are incorrect.
Well, I love Stormy, so maybe I'll have to consult with her regarding the better food options.
I have a couple things from earlier in the show that I'd like you to chime in on if you would. One is was a stupid Halloween thing, which is Kelly brought up the notion of, remember there was always that house in the neighborhood where they didn't really like Halloween, but they wanted to acknowledge it, so they just put out a whole bunch of candy in like a plastic pumpkin in the front, and they, under the theory that it would be democratically distributed throughout the night. Your thought on that was?
Well, the most brilliant move there is in the behind the bushes. You're dressed as the Grim Reaper, or with the with the buzzsaw, right?
You're monitoring the situation.
You've got a camera, and you're just waiting for the inevitable cheating to occur.
It's so
and then the confrontation. You took more than one.
That is ghoulish. What that is. The other thing from a sports betting standpoint, because this just came up with Dr. Bob. And Shades of Mako on Twitter says, I don't want to paraphrase incorrectly, but I believe Dr. Bob has previously mentioned that when you have an edge, you will have more bad beats because you're on the right side more often. So I brought this up with Bob. The notion that when you do have an edge in a sport, you are more likely to get the worst of the toss-up games. You subscribe to that?
Oh, 100%.
And why?
I mean, and I don't know why Bob struggles with this. For such a brilliant man, he's a dummy when it comes to this.
Stop calling people dummies, for God's sake.
No, when it comes to this. Dr. Bob always says, I just expect the luck to even out. Anyone who's a pro poker player knows the luck, of course, isn't going to even out. You know why? Because a pro poker player gets it in, all in usually, and he's the favorite 75% of the time. Now, it's not that extreme, but Dr. Bob's a great handicapper, so he's expecting to win 55% of his plays, and he has historically. So it just makes sense. For every 20 bad beats, he's going to be the recipient of 9 and the loser of 11. It's not going to even out. He's going to be 20% higher on his bad beat losers than winners.
Yeah,
I disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I don't know if that explanation resonates with a lot of people. It sounds logical to you, but I don't think it does to most. I really don't.
Really? I think it'll resonate with every poker player, pro poker players.
With poker players. Yeah. I think like with sports bettors, it would resonate. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did resonate. Mm-hmm. But I think the range of outcomes, if you do like that Price is Right range thing, it slides in your direction. But I don't know that. And so I guess that might trigger the fact that the bad beats will go more against you than the good beats will for you.
Yeah, and obviously it's skewed more if you have the world's greatest information, right? And you're only betting when you got like 8 points the best of it, with great injury information, and you win 80% of your bets. It almost takes a bad beat to beat you, right? I mean, you're not going to be in a situation. Most of the time you're going to be winning with 2 minutes to remaining, and then it's going to take something really wonky to beat you.
Chance Copperpot has a question for you, but while we're on the subject here, certain existential questions. But he says, if the majority of NFL games end in a cover by the favorite or an outright win by the dog, and we've said that many times before, if you do the database back to 1978, I think regular season, 83% of outcomes have nothing to do with the spread. In other words, the favorite covers or the dog wins outright. Only 17% of the time does the favorite win but not cover, which really isn't a negligible amount, by the way. But he says, if that's the case, how much value is there in NFL teasers, he asks. I see Kelly betting them off, and I haven't in a couple years. Am I missing out? Good question for Fez.
Yeah, so the idea being why kind of the Wong teasers on the favorites completely go against what you're just saying, right? Because you're laying minus, when you play a 6 point, minus 120 teaser on a six, let's use a 6.5 point favorite to make it easier. Basically, you're playing the money line minus 280 at that point. Okay, well, why lay minus 280 on a teaser leg when you can just go ahead and lay 6.5? Because if they win, they're going to cover. And the truth is that the data's skewed because every time you've got a team, a pick 'em or a 1 or a 1.5 or a 2 point favorite, of course, whoever wins winds up covering almost 100%. And I've never seen someone actually do a study where they looked at, hey, here's how you would do if you bet the no vig money line versus betting the no vig spread. Do you do better betting the spread or betting the money line? And I would imagine it's pretty close to even, despite those 80% cover numbers.
Okay, you've come prepared with sheets. Let me just ask you a couple questions. One, what about handicapping contests? How are you doing in those? You have a good entry in one of these, right?
Yeah. So VSiN Invitational Friday, I'm a disaster. Games below 500 and just waiting. I don't even check the standing. I'm just waiting for Matt Humans to say, Steve, this is just not your contest, and thank you for your participation. Come by and get an Omaha steak, and we'll see you in 10 years, maybe.
Let's agree to mutually part ways.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm going to be like the GM. I'm like, Matt, probably a good idea not to have me in the contest next year. Let me know when I can take Westman Stratton out for dinner. And of course, you're invited as well, just to buffer, Westman like rubbing it in. A Circus Survivor, generally good, 3 entries. One's still alive. Got the Rams this week.
You got the Rams.
No brainer. So happy. Been talking to Steven, so maybe, I don't know if it gets some airtime, with the Circus Survivor documentary.
Oh, okay. Steven Shalansky.
Yes. Yeah. And I am like, I'm probably going to be the villain because I'm the guy, like with Survivor, I'm like a robot. I'm like, everyone else is like analyzing, okay, is the 6 point favorite going to win? Is the 9 point favorite going to win? I'm like, well, just look at the money line no vig number, and that'll tell you exactly the probability that they'll cover, like no handicap whatsoever. That's like kind of the source of truth.
Why do you think that makes you the villain, though? Because other people like stew on it all the time, and you just like 1 second's thought.
Right. I'm like, that's a 7.5 point favorite. They're going to win 75% of the time, and it's not what people want to hear. They want to hear, no, this 5 point favorite's more likely to win than this 7 point favorite. And of course, they aren't. They're never. The 5 point favorite is never more likely to win than the 7 point favorite, and that gets people angry because they obviously disagree completely.
How do you view Survivor then in general? Do you view, if you win Survivor, so, okay, let me ask it a different way. Are you in, beyond your entry, are you in the mode of investing in others now? Have you segued into that?
I'm just segueing into the swap. I love swapping. So I've got 1 entry left. Kelly has 1 entry left. I'm like, Kelly.
No, he doesn't have one either.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear. What's this? What's this?
So I'll go over to Spooky, and I'll say, or Greg Jones, I'll say, hey, you got an entry left?
Yeah.
I got an entry left. I'll give you 5%. You give me 5%. To diversify.
So
easy peasy.
A no money exchange trade.
Right. And maybe they say, hey, I got a little better path than you. I'm like, all right, I'll give you 5.4% of me, and I'll take 5% of you. That's a good point. We'll negotiate. What a great way to hedge, and not necessarily to hedge, but to diversify your portfolio.
Okay, but tell me you're only doing this with people that you know and trust.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Because people will get burned by that if they're
exactly. Yeah. You can draw up contracts, but then the crack came on your show. Like, if someone can walk up to your poker stack, grab a $10,000 chip, and run out the front door of the Bellagio,
just sprint out.
Probably there's danger fraught with like a 1-page handcrafted document, right? Yes. that you put together without any lawyer approval. Hey, I do have 1 millions. That's decent. It's 25 and 15, but I'll make the case 25 and 15 is worth a heck of a lot more than a typical year, because everyone that's really good, like the Randy McKays of the world or the Frank B's, are in my rear view mirror, because if they're playing the advantage numbers and they've been playing the consensus and locking in great numbers, they are donezo. They're below 500 probably at this point.
What place are you in? 25 and 15, do you know?
I don't know, maybe 140th, something like that.
Somewhere around there. 140 is pretty impressive. Yep. So are you in, and I don't want to give away everything for you because people might be listening who are above you, but if you are you in the completely play it by the book now that you have this position? I know it hasn't worked out that way so far, but do you flip to, well, I should play super conservative moving forward, and that will inevitably get me even higher that way? Likely to get me higher.
I don't know, because if someone above me flips and just plays that way, I can't catch them if they're just playing like the best CLV.
But that would assume that that they have the strategy and the brain that you do.
And the vast majority won't have that strategy, because it'll be like, screw you, Steve. I'm at 71%. Why would I do anything different from what I've done so far?
There's always going to be people who are like, it's all me. I'm just that good.
You know what's amazing? I talk about poker tournaments, and like people are calling, like when there was the November 9th, they're calling Phil Hellmuth, right? And they're calling all these poker experts, help me, give me lessons. You know how many times anyone has ever consulted me? I mean, I won $1.5 million in contests over the years.
Yes.
You know how many times anyone's ever consulted me asking for help? I can count on one hand, down the stretch.
Really?
Like, people are like, well, screw Fez. I'm in second place, and he's not even in the money this year. Why would I ask him?
It's amazing how people can't hold two thoughts in their head at the same time. Like we saw with Nadeau here the other day. Like, he's a lightning rod. And I'm like, what he did was great on this subject. If y'all can't figure out that he was great on this subject, that's your problem. And the same thing applies to you. It's like, you're a lightning rod, but some people can't admit that you're actually good at this. Oh, would you like to share your sage Kelly Bidlin, now that he's lost 100 pounds? You chimed in yesterday. What'd you say?
It's always easy after the fact, but I mentioned the great Todd Wishnev has dropped 100 pounds multiple times, did a great job. We had a contest, we pushed, we both lost a lot of weight. He got down to 195, all right?
Yeah.
And then we had a celebratory show, and we documented what Todd had consumed, because he basically had starved himself for 4 months. And I think he had 3 of these burgers on the screen and everything else. And it represents totally the wrong way. Like once,
but you're, again, if Todd were here to defend himself, he would say, Stevie, I hadn't thought about that. Thank God you're telling me what to do now. So Todd to hear him explain it, he's got a voice in his head.
But I'm to blame. I'm taking blame here, because like I was all in. I was like, okay, now we've starved ourselves. Let's go celebrate. And it was like, what we should have done is said, no, let's return to normalcy. Not extreme in the other direction.
Right, but and I think Kelly will be good about that. Todd has done it multiple times. Todd is like the Luther Vandross case, right, where they just the weight fluctuation. It's not a good. Todd knows it's not a good thing, but he's not unaware of.
Still the greatest 300-pound tennis player in the history of the planet.
What does he say? He's a top 10 300-pound ATP player.
Seniors. He would win the gold medal. Yes.
He comes to net.
He's nimble. He is nimble, folks.
He comes to net and you can't see the sun anymore. Okay, how about let's give your plays of the week here before we move on to other subjects. You've come in with 3 sheets of paper.
Yes.
2 of which are on college football. 1 is the NFL, and I see a marked difference between the 2.
Yeah, so like here's a typical sheet like on college. I got color-coded, Gilly. So I got like basically different colors for different people and who they like, including but not limited to Dr. Bob, et cetera. So there's like 8 guys in here. I got my SIC injury, plays. I got my Big Al plays. I got and multiple other guys. My buddy Dan, who's a great handicapper. So now I got my secret NFL sheet. You want to see it?
Let's see it.
There it is.
Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing on it.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Because the college football marketplace is very, very beatable. It's like when you play tennis, very beatable. I have become the more I do this, the more I'm like, play props in the NFL. And I got prop sheets in the NFL. I just, that's the secret sauce. But as far as if you can beat NFL sides laying -110, then you probably can clobber all of these other things that you're betting on in the NFL, because it's just so difficult.
What did you end up pick-wise this weekend?
All right, so we'll go tonight. We'll take North Carolina. We'll go under the 45.5 against Syracuse. North Carolina hasn't let go of the rope. They're still trying very, very hard.
Yeah.
They're just not very good on offense. So I expect, and my guys, my aggregated information tells me Syracuse is going to struggle to score as well. So we're going to go under 45.5, and we're going to go under 45 in Ohio State, Penn State. Now, this is actually my handicap. I think we got an example where both teams want the same thing. Ohio State wants to stay healthy.
Yep.
Put up a W and move on. Survive in advance. Don't run fast offense. It's a long season. Let's not get guys hurt. That's the only way we're going to lose, or if we lose to Indiana. by contrast, or not by contrast, by the same motivation, Penn State just doesn't want to get embarrassed. It's a bad year. The kids are still trying hard. They know they can't win, and they don't want to get punked. So I could see Penn State saying, let's also shorten the game, and we'll be very happy if we can just get out of there losing 24-13. With both teams having the same motivation, basically, the game's going to go under 45.
Game's going to go under 45. Okay. Those are your two college football plays? Those are the only two plays you have this week? Okay. So North Carolina, Syracuse under 45.5, and then the Penn State, Ohio State ball game under 45. You didn't have something else?
Let's go. Let's not bet the NFL. So we're going to go. Let's go Chicago Bears.
Okay.
First quarter. We'll go first quarter. We'll lay minus 130. That's readily available, and it's no guarantee, mind you. But Chicago, what's this? Lately, they've been.
What's this?
If they win the coin toss, they've been looking. They got scripted plays, so they're good on the first drive. And they've been looking to start with the ball with those scripted plays with success, whereas the Bengals never can be certain. They tend to, if they win the coin toss, they'll defer. So if one team has been taking the ball and the other team's been deferring, it's no guarantee, but the Bears are more likely to start with the ball, which makes certainly a decent chance we get a 2-for-1 on the first quarter scoring possessions or possibility to score. We'll take the Bears minus 130.
Okay.
First quarter.
Let's go back to that notion you were talking about before. You mentioned, if everybody could beat a minus 110, they'd be millionaires. And by the way, you don't see millionaires betting on the NFL, you were saying.
Well, you do, but they're just,
I think it's time for a gentle reminder of a PSA that you are pretty regular on stating this as a reminder for folks. The way that people, the time allocation that people, I guess you said it in a different way, but the time allocation that people put in to handicapping versus the numbers.
Yeah, people spend way too much time handicapping and doing all the work. And then it's almost like they spend, like there's some guys, and this is the wrong way to do it, they prepare for like an SAT. So they'll spend, Monday through Friday, prep and going through everything. And then, okay, it's time to bet on Friday. And then they'll spend an hour. Okay, I like these 8 plays, and I'll pull up 2 books, and I'll take the best number. I'll shop, in my 2 or 3 books, take the best number, and I'm done. That's pretty much, I would say, what most bettors do. But it's not optimal at all. I would argue you should probably spend at least as much time betting as you do handicapping, but there aren't enough hours in the day, so a shortcut you can do, there's nothing better than having an awesome confederate that bets and has tons of accounts, and boom, you say, I'm going to play the North Carolina under tonight, and you're ready to go. You just shoot him a text, say, get me the best number you can, and let him fill your order. Boom. If you have a betting buddy that you can be partners with, and all he does is bet, and all you do is handicap, that is far superior than you trying to do 2 jobs at once when either one of them really is a full-time job.
You mentioned it's like they're studying for SATs. What did you get on? You prepared to give your SAT score?
Yeah, it's lousy. Verbal, crappy 580. Math 740. Good at math.
This is so interesting. We've never had this conversation. Repeat what you had again?
Yeah, I'm like George Costanza. People think I'm good, but I'm not. I'm 580 verbal, 740 math.
Okay. I am almost exactly, it's so funny. I had almost exactly the same performance. I had 750 math. And the verbal was 540. Like, and to think about that we were.
No wonder we get along so good.
But like, if I were to predict, like if I had forgotten that number, right? If I had forgotten that, and you had asked me today, how do you think you did back then? I would have reversed them. But that's not how it happened.
And what happened, our career paths were different for a long time. So what happened, obviously, is that you were in an industry where you became much more well-spoken, et cetera, whereas I took the left-hand brain turn to become an actuary, so and I got much better at math and even worse verbally.
Yeah.
And then what happened actually doing all these podcasts and broadcasts has made me a much better speaker, although I still got to be very careful about what I say because I'm way too judgmental and opinionated, and I'm sorry, and I'm working on it.
There's no need to apologize.
I'm sorry.
By the way, Jaden Daniels, now it's official. Jaden Daniels will start Sunday for the Washington Commanders against the Seahawks. That was expected. Jaden has been practicing all week, but again, the Commanders will not have Terry McLaurin. He is out after re-aggravating the quad injury, but Jaden is in.
And that Debo guy looks like he put on like 20, 25 pounds. Maybe the weight Kelly's been losing has been going on to Debo.
Debo's had a good little season so far.
Debo's was better when he was a couple years younger.
By the way, Bengals Joe Flacco stopped short of saying he's definitely playing on Sunday, but did say he's feeling good. He wanted to throw to see how it reacts and was left with a positive reaction, that from Ian Rappaport at the Rap Sheet. So Joe Flacco, reading between the lines, trending to start for the Bengals this weekend against the Bears. Does that change your handicap on that at all? No?
I'm a little less enthusiastic, but I still like the bet. Yeah. By the way, Flacco looked like Todd Wishnev nimble. Like there was a defender that had him when he was scrambling, and he hopped, skipped out of a tackle. Maybe got injured on that play last week. But I mean, like it's amazing how these savvy older quarterbacks just seem to take these running angles so much better than some of the younger quarterbacks, obviously, that are way faster.
Yeah, real quick, also reaction to the Dolphins and firing their GM, Chris Greer, but staying with Mike McDaniel. My buddy Reza, who's a lifelong Dolphins fan, talking about McDaniel. He is not a terrible head coach, but he is not a leader of men. Continued problems persist that he doesn't fix. Players aren't accountable or scared, and he has been very bad at adjustments, both halftime and in-game. He will be a good O coordinator, but not head coach. And then our own Steve Cohen, who runs all the programming here at VSiN, he says, do people not understand that you fire a GM so that the next GM you hire decides on who the head coach will be? There you go.
That makes a lot of sense. That is a really good point.
Though, again, Steve Ross committing to McDaniel for the rest of the year. So perhaps we're intimating for next year. But we get tweets at Beating the Book. Super Jerk has chimed in. He says, best explanation of why you take a bad beats poker or sports I've ever heard. I feel much better now. Thank you. Have a winning weekend, you bums. Mr. Postman 619. I too threw in the towel on FAU. Shout out to Dr. Bob's breakdown where I thought he was laying out a perfect case for over. So I parlayed the two. Never in doubt. Never in doubt.
They were getting killed the whole game.
It was, like I said, it was 42-19 with like 5+ minutes left. I look away. And come to find out from our group text where Todd's like, oh, my God, Dr. Bob with the luck box. Touchdown, recover onside kick, touchdown. 42-32.
They practice that diligently, the Owls do.
Derek Gwynn. I agree with Steve. As a poker player in Mississippi, I definitely understand. However, as a sports bettor, I would be confused if I did not play poker. It's one of those two. I've made this case years ago. Before I heard anybody else say it, I used to make this case about this, where I think if you're good at something, the coin flip ones tend to go against you more. And I'm like 50% on explaining it well. So I'm with Bob. It's not the easiest explanation.
And you know, one other thing I would mention is predominantly under players always feel that they're cursed. Because my friend Charlie J, who was an over player, he would say, Stevie, these dummies don't really, you're a dummy, Stevie, because you don't realize unpredictable contingent events happen. You know, there's the chance of a special teams or defensive touchdown in a game is not negligible. It's going to happen like 28% of the time.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, oh my God, it was a pick six or I should have won. It's like, no, you know, like 1/5 of the time you're going to get hit with one of those in a game. So stop acting like, you know, it's like a hurricane category 5 just hit you out of nowhere.
Oh, I got a hurricane category 5 coming up for you though on something in sports betting. James NTU 89. GM does not always hire the head coach. Some organizations, for example, the Niners, make the head coach the bottom line, or Kyle and Lynch work together, but Lynch works for Kyle. I imagine Vrabel, Jim Harbaugh, Peyton have the same deal. It's I guess a valid point. Kevin Norman. I was one of those who left candy in a bowl on my porch for Halloween, but that was only when I was working night shift and still wanted the kids to get the candy. And yes, there usually was some little blank who took the entire bowl along with all the candy. Oh, man. College basketball does begin on Monday. Are you one of these guys who's like, oh, this is the best time of year for any sport, the beginning of the college basketball season?
I used to be, and then there was one year I used to just hit all the unders, right? Convinced that
you love this.
I love this, and then one year I had Todd help me out. What's this? I'm looking. He's got access to this book that all their totals are like 1.5 points higher than market, right? And I'm like, we're gonna go shotgun wedding style here. Yeah. We're gonna shoot these guys up, and we went like 24. I went like 24 and 36.
Yeah,
and then there's like a long pause, and at the end of the day, he's like, "You didn't do very good, Stevie," and I'm like, "That's helpful, Todd. Thank you." But what's interesting is people say, "Well, you should never do that. But I would go back and say, well, I do that in college football almost all the time. And like, look at this year. If you just played week 0 or week 1 unders across the board, I mean, we talk about not having to shop. You could be a drunken sailor and lay $1.15 on them all, and you would have crushed it.
I say this to you respectfully, but I'm curious as to your answer. Do you feel, if you ever did some introspection on this, that the certitude with which you do some of these things, right? So the underfest to begin the college basketball year, where you got beat badly on it last year, pardon me. Do you believe that we'll use the gambling term leak? Do you believe that one of your leaks is just how sure you are sometimes of things, and that perhaps it borders on overconfidence sometimes?
100%. Because, like, in college basketball, late game totals, they fixed the algorithm, and I was crushing for years doing that, and I got murdered for, not one season, for 2 seasons, playing what had been winning the 3 years before. Just saying, hey, it's variance, it's going to turn around. No.
All right. It's a good admission from you, Stevie. If you had said no, I would have thought you're even more of a robot than I thought you were, so good.
I'm still a robot.
Still a robot.
By the way, I do have a breaking best bet in tennis here. All right, you got to get down this. Now, small limits. All right, upcoming match.
Yeah.
They have 1,000 tournaments and 500 tournaments.
Yes.
This is a $2 tournament.
This is a $72.50 tournament.
So the play is we are going to fade Jeff Parles off an improbable upset of Gil Alexander. I'm going to say this.
The tennis elbow
I
hurts,
think
man.
I'm better at tennis than Parles.
Yes.
And Gil always beats me at tennis.
Yeah.
Yet somehow, by the transitive or the cumulative or whatever property, we would know this if our SAT scores were still what they were back in high school. Gil Alexander lost to Jeff Parles. I have unconfirmed reports.
Tennis elbow,
that
man.
Parles, no excuses. Should have withdrawn, then there would have been no action.
Which is where I'm getting to.
We're going to get to that.
Yes.
But Jeff Parles, there are reports that well past midnight, he was still celebrating his improbable victory with not just food and Omaha steaks, but copious amounts of alcohol.
Copious, yes. Okay, so getting back to our discussion then about, do the coin flips tend to go against you if you're good? So in tennis betting, now you had Stevie went crazy this morning, but this happens to me all the time. In tennis betting, depending on where you wager, right? This is the worst part about betting tennis. There's a lot of good, but this is the worst part. Depending on where you wager, books will grade the matches. Some will only if the match completes. Others will if one set is completed.
Yes.
And I don't want to say it's 50-50 because, I mean, there's a major offshore it has to complete. William Hill Caesars, it has to complete. There's so many where it has to complete. There's a few that only one set is required, right? MGM requires one. I think Circa requires one. I think DraftKings requires one. But generally speaking, in the way that I get graded is also it has to complete. So this morning we have Victoria Mboko.
Yeah, I got Mo Bobo with you.
That's right. She's up on Anna Kalinskaya 6-1, 3-1. And the entire match, now this was overnight, so I wasn't watching carefully. I was asleep. But what I hear is that a few times during the match, there's not an injury. Kalinskaya gets her vitals checked. So blood pressure and the like.
Mm-hmm.
And at 6-1, 3-1, or from her vantage point, 1-6, 1-3, she finds out that we have a bet on her, and she's like, I'm taking my toys and I'm quitting and I'm going home. So we don't get paid, we get a refund. Now this happens all the time, and they usually go against me than they do for me.
Happened 36 hours ago with Katie Bar the Door, where Katie took the ball and went home.
It's happened twice in 3 days against us. Yes. It is the most frustrating part. But now, you haven't been living with me all these years doing it, so it's happening to you now, and you cannot deal.
Well, the part of the reason I can't deal is it's just so possibly to be corrupt. Imagine if Katie decides, you know what, I'm nursing a little bit of a hamstring here, but I'm going out and I'm playing an opponent. I'm just going to tell my Confederates, bet on me every match, all right?
Yeah.
And then if Katie wins, we win. And if Katie is losing and she's down a set and she's down a break, or she's just down a break and in a set, in an elimination set, Rodney Dangerfield, my arm, and then, okay, refund. I mean, think about how easy. I mean, if someone was willing to blow a transformer at in Las Vegas in the Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
Right?
USC Wisconsin, was it?
I think it was here. I think it was.
But wasn't it a USC Wisconsin game here?
I just remember. I thought it was UNLV Wisconsin, but it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe
the transformer blows with 6 minutes to play. Oh, these things happen. Oh yeah, just a coincidence that transformer blew up. 2 minutes before that game was going to have enough play time to be officially graded.
Yeah. It's no other. You gave an analogy this morning. What other sport? We gave some ridiculous example. Like, could you imagine in this sport if this happened?
Oh, boxing.
Boxing.
So a guy, right. So Balboa won't come out for the 14th round, and there will be a refund by him and Clubber Lang.
That would be the equivalent. Right. Yeah, it's super frustrating, man. It's super frustrating, and it happens on the men's side. I hate to say it, as politically incorrect as it tends to happen more on the women's side, quite frankly, but it happens a lot on the men's side too. Sometimes about injuries in advance, and so in those cases, you would be smart to try to bet at the one-set shops. But oftentimes, like today, you have no inkling of what's coming.
Wishnev's out there with a compromised hip. He's limping around.
Yeah.
And if he can go out and play for free, you know what? If you're down 6-1, 3-1, you can just lob the ball back for 3 more games, take your medicine, and then get your vitals checked again.
Yeah. Steve Fezzik, everybody, the star of Fezzik Fridays. You can follow him on Twitter again at Fezzik Sports, at your own peril.
Punt, Penn State.
You being nicer on Twitter, by the way? You getting better?
I'm having a terrible year, so I'm down 100 units on my play. So I'm trying to they're and I was up 250 units the 5 years before. So they say I have Alzheimer's, and I'm washed and I'm done. So makes me sad.
Should get that checked out. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.